Well, there's a lot of places. Can't say I really have just a favorite track, but the one at Eldora, I enjoy running there. The one at Knoxville. I mean, there's a lot of places over the years that we've run that there's places that aren't even around anymore that I've really enjoyed racing at. So, but those two would probably be near the top of the list. Well, part of it is at Eldora, it's both of them. It's the speed. I mean, you're running faster there than most of the places we'd go to. At Eldora, you normally run up next to the fence, up at the top, and that's a big challenge. Knoxville is sort of the corners are probably bigger than the straight, so it's being able to roll through that corner and not lose any speed. It's to get the car absolutely right is always hard there, and both ends are a little different, so you're always fighting something just a little bit. You can never have a perfect car there. So anything that's a racetrack that's more of a challenge, well, that's what I like. If it's got speed and it's a challenge, it's different. That's what I enjoy the most. There's an owner here, but I've had my own team, and it's tough. Coming from, I can't fund it myself, so you have to have a lot of sponsors, a lot of help from different people. So I mean that's really tough, especially in the way it is today, and that's the main reason I can't own a team, because I really can't support it. If there's if we lose a sponsor, or we can't find a sponsor, I can't afford to go racing. I'm not sure. I mean, I've had an airplane once for about 7 years, and I enjoy that, flying around. I'd like to play more golf than I get to. I haven't done that in probably a couple of years, and never really started until I was in my 40s. So I think that's something I would like to do. Maybe it's being involved in racing somehow. I'm not sure what that would be, but I've always felt that I've had a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of things I can do, or if I wanted to, I've had options to do that. So I'm hoping that they're still available when it gets to that time. It's always that if there's two sides to that, but with the rules, when there are more rules, then there's less room for an advantage. So you have to work harder to have an advantage, and that costs money. But then on the other side, I mean, if there weren't any rules, then you can get into the point where the guy that has the biggest, that can spend the most money, can buy the most stuff. So I mean, there's two sides to look at. I mean, I always hate having too many rules, but you do have to have some. So I know when a lot of guys complained when they went to the 410 rule, but I mean that was really the smart thing to do, because I mean the motors were they were all over the place. I mean, there were big blocks and different things, and there were 500-600 inch motors that at some places that was an advantage. I mean, and you couldn't support a series by having to have 2 or 3 or 4 totally different motor combination, and then you'd have to have spares for that. So I mean, that could get way out of hand. So it's, I'm all for making the race, cutting the expenses, but but allowing room for us to do things, be creative, or the smartest guy can win, not the guy with the biggest check can win. Well, the series, they've never really asked my opinion on too much at all, and it's probably a shame that there probably should be some more of that. I mean, the problem you run, a lot of guys are, they're into their own agenda, so sometimes it's not really good to ask some guys their opinion, because it's just what'll benefit them. It's hard. You need to step aside and say, well, what's going to be better for the series, or what's going to be better for this organization? And maybe it's not better for you today, but it will be tomorrow. Well, In a season, we'll probably do somewhere between 75 and 80,000 miles. So, I mean, that's a lot of time going down the road, spend a lot of hours riding. So that's probably one of the least enjoyable parts of being in this series. We're always going, so we'd just rather go home and just spend time around there. There's usually, when we get back, there's usually a lot of things we have to attend to for a while. So it's when the racing stops, it's like our job doesn't stop, it just changes. But we would spend more time at home just because we're gone away from home so much. Well, I mean, it's always the same, that once you come to a place, you don't realize how many people actually touch one crankshaft or what it goes through from where it starts to where it finishes. I mean, it's just, you know, I'm amazed that it takes this amount of people, that this guy, there's so many people that touch each and every crankshaft. And you know, but that's what it takes. I mean, we haven't had any failures, any problems with any of the Cali's cranks that we've run over the years. Well, probably the biggest thing is that from when I started, you know, there was a lot of local races. There was a few big races, and you know, nothing was really organized. To have a nationwide series is probably the biggest thing that happened to sprint car racing. I mean, there's been some ups and downs there, but I mean, if this hadn't have been available, I mean, you know, my career would have had to been a lot different. Or you know, I was able to run for purses and things that you know, guys before us would have never got the opportunity to do. You know, if you drove a sprint car, you might have went to Phoenix, you might have went to California once a year, and you did this one event or this event here. But to be able to be at something where we're, like, every week we're you know, there's an event. So I mean, it's an opportunity that a lot of guys, you know, never got to take advantage of, and it was just that I was here at the right time. Well, you know, when I started when I was 15, I mean, you don't really, well, this is what the racing is, that, you know, I mean, we're close to a couple of states. We were in some different states, but I could see people that don't, you know, maybe only go a few counties, and that's all the racing they do. So to be able to go to this type of scale is just something that you would never imagine would happen.